K-pop. It's time for peak music.
打ちつかれたこの鼓動は無力で儚いもの痛みは空よりもうららかに 空があった風も熱も夢も明日も空気中にさまよった理想怒り視線切な渦を巻くような暗く深い場所じりじり音を立ててからめ取られ数えきれぬほどの瞳が全部笑ったら後ろの正面その目は誰あいあいえまるで闇に描かれた叶わない夢模様髪を振りに出すような気配がざわめくやがてそこに訪れた両手に余る悲しみ叫びは高らかに慈しむほど痛みは空よりもうららかに水槽のディスペア
Okay. Ugh. 4 chapters? Eat my ass. Listen, chat, even though we did 1 chapter yesterday, that 1 chapter was a long fucking chapter. That was a schmeater. Alright? Let me actually see. How long was yesterday's chapter? It was 1 hour, bro? No, it fucking wasn't. Wow, it was only an hour and 48 minutes? Why did it feel so long? I thought it was like 2 hours. I mean, okay, that's basically 2 hours, alright? Did we get a new tip? Case 31. Hold up. December 1st, 1981. Blank, 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 blank. Prefecture Juvenile Welfare Division report. Do not view, do not duplicate. Case 31, November 20th. Satoko Hojo, blank years old. Resident, blank, blank, blank. Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. Consultation circumstances. Anonymous telephone SOS of child abuse. Abuse situation. Anonymous claims that a female child is suffering physical abuse by adoptive parents, her guardians. Family structure. Blank marks abusers. Adoptive father, adoptive mother, older brother, child in question. Note, in June 1980, the child's parents died in an accident and she was given to her uncle on her father's side, her father's younger brother. Child Consultation Center's response. On the day of the anonymous telephone consultation, the center called the child's school and asked of her situation. The next day, the welfare officer on duty visited the child's home and heard what they had to say. Both adoptive parents agreed to the center's coaching. Contacted anti-abuse network in the city. As part of this suggested coaching, a district welfare officer in the area began visiting for coaching at fixed intervals. The scrawled note below is stapled to the report. Related information from former officer Mr. W. Mr. W. Mr. Watanagashi? Refer to 1977 document D2-3 number 44. Ask Chief Investigator F from the city's education consultation offices. He is well informed about it. Who the fuck? What is that document? Alright, let's go. I went home and washed a day's sweat off in the shower. Normally I could reset everything by taking a shower and forgetting all the bad things, but that didn't happen today. I got out of the shower to find fresh underwear placed neatly in the laundry basket. Normally, I didn't stop to think about it, but today, I felt happy at my mother's consideration. At the same time, however, it made me realize how much Satoko must be suffering. At the very moment I was appreciating this gentle kindness, Satoko might be being bruised by her uncle's cruel words. I went up to the second floor and shut myself in my bedroom. Then, facing my desk, I folded my arms. My topic of thought, of course, was Satoko. We thought that if we could just get a public agency to intervene in the right way, the problem would be solved. But with what Coach said, I didn't think it would be so easy. Satoko was obstinate, and she would stubbornly deny the abuse and try to endure it. And that was an act of atonement towards Tatashi, who had protected her before and then run away. As long as she thought that way, the situation wouldn't be so simple. But earlier before Coach, I made a clear declaration. If I thought Satoko was in danger, then I would do what I had to. In the end, that meant I was just going to wait and see too. Nevertheless, I thought I'd drawn a clearer line than Coach or my friends had. If the time came, I would report it. Over the phone. Given Satoko's personality, she might criticize me if she found out, but I believe it was ultimately the best decision. Wait, Keiichi Maebara. Would that really be all it took for the problem to end? Say that I reported to the public agency like the Child Consultation Center? What if they stuck to their wait-and-see attitude like last year again? Last year they decided to do just that and the situation improved temporarily, but then the aunt, thinking herself a laughingstock, increased her tormenting in secret. In the end, things became more underhanded than ever before. This year it was her uncle. I had just seen him for the first time today, but the man seemed much more direct, much more violent than the word underhanded could imply. He wasn't like their aunt. No, not that subtle. He was more direct. He might also assault her with punches and kicks. That could easily be discerned from the bruises and such I saw on Satoko's body. Shit, you're too naive, Keiichi Maebara. However heroic it may seem to report what was happening, if it doesn't save her, then it doesn't mean anything. Time to kill him. Reporting things to a public agency was only one option, and leaving everything to them would be dangerous. We would need something more to guarantee Satoko's safety. I scratched madly at my head, thinking, then tilted it back, wanting at least a little bit of calm. The memories of angry arguing with my friends today came to mind. I was embarrassed that I hadn't realized it until Rena said something. She was right. My house is big. Compared to all the houses with the straw thatched roofs in Hinamizawa, it was really big. We did actually have empty rooms. I've never thought that we were affluent, but also never that we were poor. I just didn't admit it because people would think I was arrogant. But maybe my family really is wealthy. We had a few rooms we could lend to Satoko. The guest rooms are only in use when people related to my dad's job come and stay every once in a while. Plus, if we cleaned up a few of the rooms my dad uses for storage, they could work for her as well. As for food expenses, that might have been a more serious problem than a kid like me could imagine. Lunch every day would be manageable. All of our friends would just have to bring a little bit more for lunch than they usually did. With everyone pecking at everyone else's food anyway, it would be manageable. For breakfast and dinner though, that would be up to mom. I would need to convince her to lend Satoko more than just a room. Of course, I don't even think convincing her of that would be easy. About how much did it cost for one person to eat? How many tens of thousands of yen per month? They couldn't complain about it if I shouldered that, could they? I only had 10 or 20,000 yen in savings, but it was something. I actually had even more thanks to New Year's gift and such, but my parents had taken all that and put it into a fixed time deposit. That's what they tell you, Keiichi, but then you find out by the time, you know, that you get access to that money, I had used it for fucking God knows what. If I could get access to that, it should add up to a lot of money. And if I got that far, I should ask Mion and Ren to share some of the burden. Of course, I wouldn't depend on that. Rena got mad at me, didn't she? About how I shouldn't just shove responsibility onto others. I'd have to ask for help. Even so, I'd basically be saving her myself. I would follow through on it. Oh, but it wouldn't be only food expenses. There were a lot of other things that you couldn't do without, like baths and laundry. My mother was awfully methodical and strict about cutting out inefficiencies, and for once that was troublesome. She might even make reference to the money it would cost for the detergent Satoko would use for her own clothes. I couldn't think only about food expenses. I needed more money. Hey, wait, Keiichi Maibara. Since when was all this about money? Even if you could afford it, you would need your parents' permission first. They'd be looking after a young girl for a really long time. What would I say to persuade them? Just calm down a little bit, Keiichi Maibara, and you'll realize right away that you can't. Even if you ask them seriously, they would tell you to call the police. Even if you manage to gain their empathy, why should the Maibara family have to shoulder all of the burden by itself? That's what would happen. That was it. It was very sad and frustrating, but no matter how much I wanted to help, my resolution alone couldn't save anything.
そんなにも子供って無力なのかよ。
I felt frustrated. I believed my feelings were stronger than anyone else's. I even thought that they were stronger than coaches. And yet, at that point, there were 2 knocks at my door and Mom poked her head inside.
起きてたの？さっきからご飯ってずっと呼んでるわよ。
あ、うん。今行く。
This is where we get a phone call. Someone financially dependent on his parents. I shouldn't say this, but I just sat around doing nothing and food suddenly appeared. It felt so natural to me that I had shamelessly thought of it as the responsibility of parents who gave birth to me. But when I realized that natural thing was actually a right, I came to realize just how hard it was to grant that privilege to others. Even the boring meal in front of me, no better than it ever was, had more meaning than that tonight. There was food for 3 on the table right now, for Dad, for Mom, and for me. I couldn't imagine how hard it would be to add another place at the table. I mean, there's 4 fucking seats. Think, Keiichi Maibara. If it was hard to make food for 4, then just think about how 4 people could eat food made for 3. Oh, I changed around the way I thought, and with that, I began to consider an unthinkably bold plan. That's right. I didn't need to get my parents' permission. She should just live here in secret. I got upset when I found out a while ago, but if I remember right, if you climbed out the window, then shimmied down the first floor roof or the gutter, you could go in and out of the house directly from my room. This guy's a terrible idea. Satoko's physical ability far surpassed my own, so it would be even easier for her. I hadn't even thought about it, but her living here secretly was actually a necessity. I'd only have to bring Satoko to my house when the public agency said they would wait and see. In other words, if Satoko's uncle continued to be her guardian. If in such a situation word got out that she was here, her uncle would barge in and drag Satoko back with him. Her uncle was her rightful guardian, so my parents would hand her over without an argument, no doubt. So I needed to keep it a secret that she was living here. If it needs to be a secret, then having my parents help would mean a lot, but gotta deceive all your allies first, like they always say. Okay. Persuading my parents was an unrealistic proposition, so I'll search for a way to have her live here in secret. When I was around, she would just have to be really quiet in my room on the 2nd floor. Bro, this sounds fucking miserable. The issue was the daytime. If she was hiding from her uncle, then she shouldn't go to school. It might be lonely, but not going would be the better option. I could easily teach Satoko the stuff she learns in her grade. So she's just gonna be fucking stuck inside of the room forever? What the fuck? Actually, during school, I mostly help all the younger kids out rather than study my own stuff. Bro's not even thinking about Satoko, he's just thinking about himself. During the day, I would need to go to school, so I wouldn't be at home. My parents respected my privacy now that I was this age, so they wouldn't go snooping around in my room while I was gone. Oh, what the fuck, dude? What are you doing under me? God, I just, like, stepped on him. Hey. I think. If she hold herself up in my room, it would be okay, right? Tony was, like, right next to my foot. If my parents did come, thanks to where the 2nd floor was, she could hear their approach from the sound of them coming up the stairs. And there would be a little bit of time before they got all the way up. I estimate a few seconds that she would be able to hide herself in the closet. Oh my god. Wait, Keiichi. Something doesn't make sense. If she can't go to school, then what'll she do for lunch? Calm down already. I could just leave her my own lunch, couldn't I? I should just go to school without lunch and get everyone else to split theirs with me. Okay, that's good. No more contradictions or oversights, right? Oh god, bro, stop cooking. Oh, breakfast and dinner. I could somehow get her to go without breakfast. I can go with 2 meals a day when I sleep in on Sundays after all. Keiichi, what the fuck? Every night, I'd pretend as though I had a bigger appetite than ask for a bigger helping, and then I could just somehow give part of that to Satoko. As a test, I stood up from my seat with my plate of fish in my hands.
どうしたのケイチ？ご飯は座って食べなさい。
ちょっと気分が変えたくなってさ。自分の部屋で食べてもいいかな。
ボロボロ落として食事は食卓で食べなさい。
ごめん。
Hey, wait. I only tried to take away one plate of fish and they ganged up on me? In reality, it was impossible for me to smuggle food away without my parents knowing about it. But it must have been worth taking the time to think about. There must be some trick, some method to avoid them realizing. Even if I can't think of one today, I might think of one tomorrow. My appetite was rapidly fading, so I finished early and went back to my room. I went back there and tried to think about it from Satoko's point of view. For example, let's say my parents were coming up the stairs right now. I've got to hide. I opened the closet, clatter, clatter. It didn't open quietly. Hey, wait, didn't it always open real smooth and quiet? Why was it suddenly doing this now? Was this house even structurally safe? Was it already showing signs of dilapidation? Or were the hinges just not greased well enough? Could I just apply some lubricating wax? The sound itself may have been soft, but it left me uneasy as to whether my parents would detect it happening when they climbed the stairs. But this was an easy problem. I could do something about it. I just had to fix it up a little bit so it didn't make it a noise anymore. For now, I'll close myself in the closet as though I'd successfully hid. Basically, I always left my futon out on the floor. I couldn't think of any real reason my parents would want to go into my closet. Even so, there still might be some reason they would. I might need to construct some sort of camouflage so that she wouldn't be noticed even if they did open it. Bro, this is so stupid. But the more she worried about that, the less time she'd have to actually hide, meaning it would be more likely they'd hear a noise. And then I suddenly had to go to the bathroom. The bathroom? The need to use the toilet so obvious and yet such a fatal flaw. The only bathroom was on the first floor. It would be absolutely impossible for her to use it without my family realizing. I might need to set up a portable toilet. Oh. Like a chamber pot, I guess. Satoko would hate it, so she could go in my room. But the stench would be pretty terrible. Anyone sensitive would probably notice the smell without even coming into the room. The bath was okay, though. She could just take a bath when my parents were out. But I couldn't do anything about a toilet. When her stomach started to hurt, if my parents were lazing around downstairs, she'd be in trouble. It was then that I noticed that I'd been clawing at my head with both hands. I sat down in a dark closet with my knees against my chest. I buried my face in them and tore at my hair. The more I thought, the more contradictions popped up. The more I thought, the more things failed. And the more I worried, the more I was reminded of how little power I actually had. My back started to hurt from staying in a cramped place for so long. But if I was to shelter Satoko, I would need to force her to feel this pain. To live in such a dark, narrow, suffocating place forever. But it would still be better than being abused by her uncle, or so I wanted to think. It got hard to breathe, so I gave in and crawled out of the closet. I looked at the clock, and to my surprise, it was 3:30 in the morning. And it felt like so little time, but it was so unbelievably long. When I realized that, I was slammed with a terrible urge to sleep, as if the time had only just caught up with me. I didn't have enough strength to fight it, and I fell flat onto my futon. Shit, I can't just go to sleep like this. If I waste any time, that'll mean I'm taking the same wait-and-see attitude that Mion and Coach and everyone else did. I needed to keep worrying about how to rescue Satoko for a minute, or even a second longer than everyone else. Oh god, my back hurts because he said his back hurts. Isn't there a better way? Isn't there a better way? That one phrase I spoke to myself swirled around and around in a spiral, and steadily took over my entire mind. For my last moment of consciousness, I thought, there were a lot of blind spots in what I'd consider tonight, but I absolutely wasn't wrong for having those ideas. Tomorrow I would suggest this bold plan to others. Mion might be able to help somehow, and Rena was really sharp, so she might have a good suggestion. And above all, we needed to rescue Satoko once again, with everyone helping out. I felt pathetic for letting myself fall asleep. I'm sorry, Satoko. This guy thinks he's fucking Superman, bro. Like, relax, motherfucker. Like, Dodie, do you have to sleep in my lap? ceiling blurred into view. It was hot. There was a thin layer of moist sweat on me. The voices of cicadas permeating my room were somehow gritting to my head.
レ、今日、日曜日じゃないよな。
I remember today was a weekday and quickly brought myself to consciousness, and then finally I leaped out of bed. The clock read a little before 10. I was totally late. Where are my parents? When I wandered downstairs, my mom would get mad at me. There was nothing I could do, though. After reviewing the schedule for the school day, for a moment, I suitably rearranged the stuff in my bag. I hurried and got dressed and went down the stairs. There was no sign of my parents anywhere. Maybe they went out somewhere together. So that's how it was. My mother had probably woken me up once this morning, but then I fell back asleep without remembering it. My parents, thinking I'd gone to school, left. Something like that probably happened. I went to the front door, and as expected, it was locked. Looked like I was right. It was further evidence of my speculation being correct. When I realized my parents weren't here, I suddenly felt less like I had to rush to get to school. There was one portion of breakfast left in the dining room, probably mine. The milk they'd poured in it had gone warm since a while ago. When I realized how hard it would be to sneak food for Satoko yesterday, I had cried. Well, thinking back on it, food wasn't the only issue in that regard. I wasn't in a position where I could care for Satoko by myself anyways. Such a heavy thing just to save a single person. I've seen this on TV and the comics all the time. Those feel-good words about how you'll save your friend for sure and such. Was that why I ran my mouth like that, swearing to save her because I wanted to feel good about it? No, that absolutely wasn't true. Because the fact was I couldn't save her. Because I didn't want to think like an adult. Like I couldn't do anything but watch. Had Satoko gone to school today? I immediately realized that was a meaningless question. Whether or not she did, that wouldn't be a change in the environment she'd been placed in. If I couldn't save her and no one else could either, then we could only pray for a miracle. What if his parents are gone for a week, you know? He could try to use this time to stall.
無力か。
With a vague goal of getting to school in mind, I sluggishly put on my shoes and stumbled out the front door. I had only overslept by 2 or 3 hours, but the sunlight and air felt completely different from how they usually were in the morning. Well, of course they did. When 10 o'clock came around, you could barely call it morning anymore. I didn't feel like walking the same old route to school. I needed to ultimately end up there, but it was like I didn't want to choose the shortest route, the most proactive one to get to school. Put in more positive light, maybe I want some time to walk by myself and think. I had to go to school, partly to make sure Satoko was safe, but I hadn't come up with any plans yet, nothing since last night. So the path I took from my house was in the complete opposite direction. If I went this way, I'd pass Rena's house and the dam site. It would be quite a detour. I calculated how long of a detour it would end up being. Then satisfied with the answer, I started to walk. Rena had brought me to the dam site a few times. One section of it had turned into an unlawful or oversized garbage dump, and Rena really liked going fishing for junk in there. Without that, she'd come off as a completely normal girl too. I can think of a few other qualities she could do without, but whatever. The view quickly opened up wide, and I was hit by a strong wind. There was no shelter. There was no shelter here at this big dam site. Maybe it was a good thing I came here, I thought. At the very least, it was more healthy to think about stuff in a place like this instead of my cramped bedroom. I took a deep breath and filled my lungs with the rich, cold air unique to Hinamizawa. Ring, ring. I turned around reflexively. It was a bicycle bell. Considering where I was standing, I don't think they were trying to get me out of the way. They'd rang the bell because they wanted something from me.
いやあ、申し訳ないね。
Oh no, it's all over. It's the angel of death. When Tomitake appears, things start dying. Hey, excuse me.
君、ひなみ沢の人だよね。
そうですけど。
I've seen this person around a few times. Right, I remembered. His name, I think, was Tomitake, a freelance photographer who lived in Tokyo. He would zealously visit Hinamizawa every season to take pictures, or so Mion and the others told me, I think.
古出神社ってここからどう行けばいいか教えてもらえないかい？マップを宿に置いてきちゃったみたいでね。
Wait. Photographer? And they need evidence of abuse? What if Tomitake... What if Keiichi asked Tomitake to stake out and try to get some pictures of the uncle of beating Satoko, And then they could use that as evidence, because that would be like real evidence. Take him. He's heavy. Dodi, go to your mom. You're so fat. Stop fighting, motherfucker. Oh my god. No. I think I left my map at the inn.
困ってたんだよ。
ここから神社ですか。
I knew where everything was in my head, but explaining how to get there was difficult. Oh my fucking god, finally. Oh, look at his fat bum, bro. He's so fucking fat.
教えてもいいですけど、ちょっと口で説明するのは難しいですよ。一緒でよければ連れて行ってあげますけど。
え？それはかたじけないね。助かるよ。あ、でもいいのかい？君の用事は。
Tomitaka-san finally appeared to have realized how strange it was for a student like me to be here at this time of day. I smoothly told him to not to worry about it, then turned my back and started walking towards Furude Shrine. Tomitaka-san hurried to turn his bike around and came after me.
ごめん。気にしないでくれよ。男には組織を離れて一匹狼になりたい時もあるんだからね。
What a free-minded freelancer. It was easier for me too, that he was under that
僕
impression.
は富武、フリーカメラマンさ。専門は野鳥と風景。まだまだ無名だけどね。
It seemed absurd for him to introduce himself when I was just showing him to the shrine, but he gave me his name, so I needed to give mine back.
前原圭一です。まあよろしく。
Wait, but what if, taking pictures of like that might ruin Tomitake's career because he's like being a creep.
圭一くんかい。よろしくね。
He seemed like a pretty silly man, but that felt kind of good considering I've been suffocating with worry over Satoko all night. Along the way, Tomitake spoke at length to me about how precious the nature in Hinamizawa was and how it was a treasure trove of rare wild birds, despite my not having asked. Yeah, who asked? I wasn't interested in what he had to say, but he seemed to be enjoying himself, so I left him to do it.
この石段を上がれば神社の境内です。
ありがとう。助かったよ。ああ、ちょっと遅刻しちゃったかな。
As Tomitaka-san mumbled to himself, he left his bicycle nearby and started to climb the stairs quickly. I didn't have a watch, but as far as my internal clock could guess, it was still a little late in the morning. School wasn't very far from here. Maybe I could kill a little more time until then. With that in mind, I went up the steps in pursuit of Tomitaka-san. When I reached the top of the long staircase, I arrived at the wide open shrine grounds that were too grand looking for this tiny village. Tomitaka-san. Oh, there he is. It looked like he was supposed to be meeting someone here. Then he got lost and ended up being late. It's gonna be fucking Takano. He was bowing to a lady who must have been the person he was meeting. No! The real demon is here! Lady, I knew her.
前原くんじゃない。
How does she know us?
こんにちは。今日は学校はお休みかしら？
あれ？なんだ、圭一くんついてきたのかい？
別にそんなつもりはないですよ。ただちょっと時間つぶしがしたかっただけです。
あらあら、重役出勤とは優雅なものね。さすがは有名人。今から大物ぶりを発揮してること。
Was I a celebrity? Well, she did say my name out of nowhere anyway. I was oddly concerned about what she meant by famous.
あら、私の名前はまだ思い出せない？
But how do we know you?
高野美代さんだよ。
We haven't met her in this timeline.
村の診療所に勤めてる。圭一くんは健康そうだからあまり病院のお世話にはならないかな。
せっかくお知り合いになれたんだから、今度病気か何かできたら ちょっぴりだけサービスしてあげようかしらね。
What? I'm 14, lady. This lady named Takano-san. I kind of didn't remember her. Maybe we'd passed each other on the street a few times, but I was pretty sure this was the first time we talked. Well, this is Hinamizawa. Even if I don't know a person's name, it's not unusual for them to know mine. I glanced at Takano-san and saw she had a bag and a camera.
ひょっとして二人とも写真仲間ですか？あ、それで待ち合わせを。
仲間でなんてとんでもない。素人の私に二郎さんが優しく手ほどきをしてくださるだけなのよ。ねえ。
そんなことないよ。高野さんは飲み込みが早いからね。僕の指導なんかなくても実に自由に撮影をこなすよ。本当さ。
Couldn't tell which of them was ahead in the conversation. Well, there was certainly one couple you wouldn't get tired of
いよい
watching.
よあさってが綿流しね。今年はいい写真が撮れるといいんだけど。
明日の設営シーンからレンズに収めるつもりだよ。そういう準備風景からもお祭りの活力を捉えたいんだ。
Oh, I just remembered. There was some village festival called Watanagashi or something the day or after tomorrow on Sunday.
ひなみ沢の守り神、
Oh
お社様
shit,
に感
2
謝するため
days until
古い
Watanagashi?
布団を積み重ねて供養する、そんなお祭りでしたっけ？
あら、ご名答。前原くん、引っ越してきたばかりにしては博識ね。そう。お社様に感謝するためのお祭り。
Takano-san smiled somehow meaningfully, but didn't tell me what part of the festival to thank Oishiro-sama needed to be laughed at.
やれやれ。高野さんは。でも、どうだろうね、今年は。
Uh-oh, here we go.
二度あることは三度ある。そしてもう四度あったのよ。五度目がないと言える方が何の根拠もないと思うけれど。
I knew what they meant by their whispered exchange. On the day of Watanagashi, a freak death always occurs, which people call Oeshiro-sama's curse, and a disappearance occurs that people call being demoned away. These strange events had happened 4 years running, and Watanagashi rapidly approaching the day after tomorrow marked the 5th.
村の旧敵にたたりをなすお社様か。今年もあるとして、果たしてその矛を受けるのは誰になるだろうね。あ、僕はここに来るたびにちゃんとお参りしてお賽銭を入れてる。僕じゃないことは確かだよ。
あらそう。近年のお社様は異邦人には特に厳しいって話よ。引っ越してきたばかりとはいえ、前原くんはちゃんとひなみ沢に住んでる村人だけど、二郎さんは毎年来るだけのただのよそ者。さーて、今年は見逃してもらえるかしら。
ひどいな。
Tomitaka-san was only one with a pained grin, but we all were smiling, me included. Oeshiro-sama, the one who used the curse to kill people involved with the dam construction project, one after the next. He killed the dam construction manager, killed Satoko's parents for supporting it, and the next year he even killed her aunt. If the demoning away was part of that curse, then you could add Satoshi to the list of victims. As I thought about it, I realized that in the serial freak death incidents, the overwhelming majority had the last name Hojo. Half of the deaths and disappearances had come from the Hojo family. The Hojo family lived here in Hinamizawa. Did that mean Oeshiro-sama punished and cursed them particularly harshly? Because despite that, they had been in favor of the dam?
Satokoのおじが帰ってきたって話は聞いてますか？
Takano-san, who had been enjoying a few words with Tomitaka-san, was caught unaware by my sudden inquiry.
あ、ごめんなさい。今なんて？
あ、いえ、Satokoの両親がたたり殺されて、おばもたたり殺されて、だったら順番的には次はおじの番かなって思ったんです。去年のたたりでおばが無残な死に方をし、 それに恐れをなして町に逃げていたやつですよ。お社様は確か村を捨てて逃げ出そうとするのは許さなかったですよね。
I hadn't intended to be quite this persistent, but those words, they just flowed out of my mouth without me thinking about it. Right. Oishiro-sama's curse. I didn't believe in something so unrealistic, of course, but the fact was that every year, unfortunate accidents and incidents happened to enemies of the village. Like Takano-san said just now, it had happened 4 times. No one could say there wouldn't be a 5th.
ふーん、面白い説ね。確かに過去の犠牲者を見れば北条姓が多いのは事実。その延長として考えれば、今年は叔父が死ぬか消えるかする可能性は否めないわね。
This fucking creepy lady.
もう高野さんは起こるかもしれない不幸を笑うのは良くないよ。
ごめんなさいね。でもお社様のたたりは私のライフワークだし。
Takano-san gave off a mysterious, somehow intellectual impression. And her life's work was mysterious in its own right. She probably really liked inexplicable supernatural phenomena or something.
高野さんはお社様のたたりに詳しそうですね。
She's got a whole fucking scrapbook.
どうでしょう。北条の帰ってきた叔父がたたりに会う可能性は。
Bro really wants him to die
あら何？
to the curse.
そのおじさんを殺したくて仕方がないみたいね。
そんなんじゃないです。
どうだろうね。神様の気まぐれ次第だからね。
前原くん、サンタクロースの正体は知ってる？
Yes. Huh? I got a strange question all of a sudden. I couldn't immediately answer.
なに？知らないの？
Looking? Side booba?
パパよ。
What?
みんなの家のパパ。
Oh, okay.
なんだ、そういう意味ですか。そりゃそうですよ。どんなものの正体だって。
Oh, so she's trying to
最終的には
say
人間です。
Orishiro-sama isn't actually a god. There's just someone else. Yeah.
だってここは人間しかいない世界なんですから。すべての現象
Santa
は
is not real?
人間で解明できるはずです。
Ooh. Sorry, chat. Fucking, this is why we hate Takano. She just ruined Christmas for everybody in chat. I felt like I put that somewhat strangely, but Takano-san was not as dissatisfied with that reply as I might have guessed.
あら、その年齢のうちからそれに気づけるなんてなかなかね。
Okay, he's 14.
その通りよ。
Who the fuck at the age of 14 believed in Santa Claus? Okay, come on.
人間の世で起こる現象は、すべて人間の都合で人間が起こす。
Everyone? Okay, well, you guys are stunted.
では前原くん、もう一度尋ねるわよ。今度はサンタクロースじゃなくて、お社様。お社様のたたりの正体は何かわかるかしら？
Wouldn't it be a crazy twist, chat, if it's actually Satoko killing everybody? And that's why she's been killing everybody around her first. That'd be insane twist. Takano-san took a step towards me and gazed into my eyes as she asked. Santa Claus was really the parents of every family's children. If lionizing that legend was a corporate tactic to try and profit during Christmas sales, then what was Oishiro-sama really?
あら、あなたが言ったのよ。ここは人間しかいない世界だって。すべての現象は人間で解明できるって。
圭一君、ここだけの話だよ。高野さんはね、お社様のたたりをめぐる一連の連続開始事件をね、ひなみ沢の村人が何かの儀式に基づいて行っている人為的殺人事件でないかと見ているんだよ。
誤解しないでね。 私はそれに至る教義や思想、文化を民族学的見地から研究することがライフワークなの。別に犯人が誰かなんてことには全く興味がないのよ。そこだけ勘違いしないでちょうだいね。
I could tell only that she was saying some crazy stuff. To use a food analogy, like you'd force feed a duck to be fattened. She forced her words down my throat. That's what it felt like.
そもそもそれを理解するためには、ひなみ沢村が鬼ヶ淵村と呼ばれていた古代にまで遡らなければならない。鬼と血を交わらせたと信じる犯人犯気の仙人たちが。
Takano-san, having entered her home field, leaned forward and began to speak of ridiculous matters. Tomitaka-san realized she was overawing me and interrupted for me.
高野さん、その話をいきなり圭一君にしても。ほら、彼も面食らってるよ。
あら、そう？続きに興味があったらいつでも言ってね。前原くんくらいの年頃の男の子が好きそうな猟奇的なお話がてんこ盛りなんだから。
ありがとうございます。気が向いたらそのうちに。
For now, I softly and safely gave my refusal. Takano-san seemed a little unhappy that Tomitaka-san had rained on her parade, but she stopped talking about it then. Even so, it was still a very interesting story. That Oishiro-sama's curse, which we thought of as strange freak deaths, were really homicides perpetrated by people of the village.
まあ常識的に考えればそうですよね。タタリなんかで人が死ぬはずない。誰かがタタリになぞらえて殺してるに決まってます。
そうね。それが誰なのかは研究しない方が無難ね。
高野さんは知ってそうですね。証拠はないまでも確信を持っているくらいには。
あら、どうしてそう思うのかしら？
I just kind of felt it vaguely. It didn't seem like her extreme passion for this research would calm down just because these things were taboo or because it was safe and easier. This person loved walking through the profound, forbidden abyss of risks and taboos.
それくらいにしなよ、圭一君。せっかく助けてあげたのに、またお社様のたたりの話が始まっちゃうよ。涼しいうちに散策に行きたかったのにな。
Tomitaka-san seemed a little disappointed not to be able to go on a date he had planned since I had brought up a weird topic. But right now there was something I wanted to ask just for a little bit. And that was about whether Satoko's uncle will be chosen for the curse this year. If he was, then another miracle would happen just like last year. Terrible incident would happen again, but it would release Satoko from her unfortunate circumstances one more. Well then, someone would have to disappear though. Who would disappear?
まあ
Keiichi?
もちろん、おそらくあの辺りの人たちが関わってるんだろうなっていう憶測は持ってるわよ。鬼ヶ淵村の歴史を研究していれば自然と至る必然的結末。
それは誰です？
The Sonozakis. What would I do if I knew? I asked that question to the other me deep inside, but no
熱
reply.
心ね。それを知ってどうするつもりかしら？
別に。
知ったらあなたにも危険が降りかかるかもしれないわよ。5年目のたたりはあなただったりして。
Takano-san, toying with taboo, gave a devilish, satisfied smile as though nothing in the world would be more amusing. She was probably trying to tease me, but I didn't feel like going along with her little game one bit.
偉そうな能書きでもったいぶってますが、高野さんだってよくは分かってないみたいじゃないですか。
I had felt a tinge of irritation at Takano-san's roundabout way of speaking, but those emotions escaped my mouth like water flowing through a strainer. Even I was surprised at how directly I had spoken out about what I felt. Of course, I wasn't the only one taken aback.
あら、言ってくれるわね。
Uh-oh.
坊やなのに挑発までできるの？意外に野生的ね。嫌いじゃないわよ、そういうの。
Oh, motherfucker, back up. Takano-san's tongue poked out of her mouth, and I was convinced that it was long, thin, and split in the middle like a snake's.
ならいいわ。教えてあげてもよくってよ。
Oh.
でも教えてあげる前に3つ誓ってもらうわ。私が何を教えても後悔しない。口外しない。
Oh god. Keiichi's about to doom himself. He's gonna find out something that he can't fucking...
私が言ったなんて絶対言わない。
I gulped firmly and nodded. Tomitaka-san made an exaggerated expression of distress, gave a dry, vague smile, and lit a cigarette.
教えてください。たたりを下しているのは
Why are you telling me to pee? Fucking, we've seen these guys before.
たたる相手を選んでいるのは誰なんです？
And after I said that, I finally realized why I wanted to know. Oh god. They just cut off Tomitaka's fucking forehead. We really got it off screen? Many of my classmates were playing freely in the schoolyard. A few of them had just run out of the school building after putting on their shoes and tapping their toes to the ground. It looked like they had just finished eating lunch. From a time manipulating standpoint, I guess I succeeded.
前原さん、大丈夫なんですか？
A few girls noticed me and came running over. It was only natural they were worried. You'd think if someone wasn't there in the
まあ
morning,
その遅刻さ
they'd be out the rest of the day.
気にしないでくれ。それより聡子はどうだ？今日は来てるか？
The girls exchanged glances. I saw a thin shadow fall over their faces and knew to answer without needing to hear them reply. Satoko was absent today too. When all was said and done, after being about 3 days, she only came back for one. Now she was out again. Who knew she would come tomorrow?
でも、さとこちゃんから電話があったって先生言ってました。風邪って言ってたよね。みんな家に帰ったらうがいをちゃんとしましょうって先生言ってました。
Wait a minute, Chie-sensei. It's a little too thick-headed, don't you think? You're a teacher, aren't you? Why can't you be more sensitive and catch on to the fact that your pupil is sending an SOS? But even if she did, there was nothing we could hope for. Okay. The most she could do was a home visitation. She didn't have any right to take Satoko from her uncle into safety. No matter the result, it would end up just like the public agencies with a wait-and-see attitude. It would just piss Satoko's uncle off and her suffering would only grow deeper. Then wasn't saying she had a cold the best option?
そうだな。みんなも風邪に気をつけろよ。もう行っていいぜ。昼休みはまだ長いぞ。
The girls excitedly scattered into the schoolyard. Rena was yelling out the classroom window, waving her hand. A moment later, Mion and Rika-chan poked their head out too.
圭一までお休みしましたから、とても心配しましたのですよ。でもよかった。顔色もそんなに悪くないし、とりあえず元気そう。
I felt a little uncomfortable with her saying that I didn't look sick, but I didn't care that much.
どうしたの？寝坊？
遅刻は遅刻だろ。それとも電車の事故で遅刻したとでも言えば許してくれるのか？
Yes.
寝坊？
Oh. Yo, Mion, hold up. Mion was being a bit persistent. Was she going to put on her club president cap and scold me for being late? Well, maybe she didn't have it in it for me, so I briefly stated that she was right.
まだね、お弁当あるよ。みんなで食べよう。やっぱりね、圭一くんがいないと盛り上がらないよね。
聡子は休みなんだな。
Even Rena, feigning cheerfulness, couldn't stand to hear that, and her face darkened.
朝、電話があったらしいよ。風がぶり返したから、また休むってさ。
長引くかもしれないって言ってた。かわいそうなのでみんなでお見舞いに行こうという話が出ていますのですよ。
何言ってんだよリカちゃん。
Not pleased with Rika-chan wearing a wide smile as though it was a happy occasion. I threw cold water on her.
サトコが風邪なんかじゃないことは俺たちが一番知ってるだろ。たとえ冗談でも二度とそういう白々しいことを言うな。
Uh-oh.
次は怒るからな。
Rika-chan furrowed her brow, looked down, and mumbled an apology.
圭一くんだけじゃないよ。みんな辛いよ。
俺だけが悩んでるなんて思ってない。でもみんな何もできないのは本当だろ。
それはそうだけど。でも
I got the feeling I would cause another fight if this exchange went on, so I apologized first.
ごめん、謝るから今の話は忘れてくれ。辛いのはみんなも同じだよな。
It was at least clear, however, that I was the only one who had worried so much about rescuing her. At the very least, everyone else probably got the normal amount of sleep last night. Probably had good dreams too. They definitely hadn't stayed up all night thinking so desperately.
登校してきていきなりこんなこと聞いて気を悪くするかもしれないけど、ケイちゃん今日遅刻したよね。サトコが今日欠席したこととは関係ある？
は？ミオン、お前何の話してるんだ？
ケイちゃんはたまにちょっとつ盲信なところがあるからね。今朝サトコと一緒にケイちゃんも休んだ時、サトコを家から連れ出してどこかにかくまったんじゃないかって本気で思った。
Easy for you to say. If I could have, I'd have done that last night. None of them had really thought about how difficult that clear as day solution was. I was up thinking all night, thinking until the night was brightening, and then I concluded that I couldn't do anything of the
バ
sort.
カかお前。人間一人かくまうなんてできるもんかよ。
そうだね。ごめん。気を悪くしたなら謝るよ。
別にいいよ。それより飯にしようぜ。腹が減ってんだ。
I want to know what Takano told him. I took my bento out of my bag. Everyone moved to make a spot for me to sit.
前原くん、今来たんですか？
No, I've been here the whole time. And just as I was about to stick my chopsticks in, Chie-sensei came along.
あ、はい。遅刻してすみません。寝坊しまして。
What the heck? Even the teacher was giving me that strange look.
お弁当を食べたら、院長と前原くんは職員室に来てください。
Uh-oh.
ちょっとお話がありますので。
Probably about Satoko, I thought. Sensei left it at that and went back out into the hallway.
弁当を食うまでもないだろ。行こうぜ、ミオ。
そうだね。
Mion and I exchanged looks, nodded to each other, and got up.
さとこちゃんの話だろうね。
No doubt about it. They were saying she had a cold, but everyone in class knew the truth. I didn't think that wouldn't have reached the teacher's ears by now.
僕がずっととぼけるので僕に聞くのをやめたのでしょう。
Revealing the truth to the teacher would only worsen the situation. Was that why she hadn't said anything? Or was it because Satoko was Satoko's friend? She was Satoko's friend, knew that she was trying to endure the trial of her uncle's abuse in order to get her brother to come home.
どうする？今のうちに私たちなりの統一見解を出した方がいいかもね。
リカちゃんはどうしたい？
Satoko's closest friend was Rika-chan. However much I pretended to be her nini, it didn't come close to the amount of time they'd spent together. So I felt her opinion should be held in the highest regard.
俺はサトコがどうしておじにいじめられてるのを耐えてるか知ってる。
Everyone looked startled and turned to me.
昔のサトコはいじめられるときっと泣きながら兄の背中に隠れてた。でも結局そのせいで兄が逃げてしまったんだとサトコは思ってる。
誰に聞いたのかな。
監督か。
I nodded
サトコ
quietly.
は 叔父のいじめに耐えれば兄が帰ってくると信じることによって今を耐え抜こうとしてるのかもしれない。でもそんな思い込みとサトシが帰ってくるのは全く無関係なことだ。サトコには悪いがそれが現実だ。
Everyone hung their heads. Everyone was thinking the same
サ
thing.
トコは多分誰の助けも喜ばない。自分一人の力で耐え忍びたいと思ってる。でもそれを俺は思わない。一時サトコに恨まれることになろうとサトコの意志に関わらず助けるべき時があると思う。俺はそれが今じゃないかと思ってる。
Told them about what I saw and how I felt when I went to Satoko's house yesterday.
圭一君は話すべきだと思ってるってことだね。
もちろん公的機関への通報でサトコが保護されるのが確定してからだ。その確認のないうちはサトコをかえって危険にさらすこともありえるからな。
難しいね。先生との会話の中でその確約ってのが取れるわけ？
I had no confidence, but we had to try. Honestly, we just tell the teacher that the uncle said some slanderous, said some slurs about curry. Meanwhile, Rika-chan had her hand raised for a while as if asking for an opportunity to
圭
speak.
一に任せますです。
いいのかいリカちゃん。
圭一はここにいる誰よりもサトコのことを考えていますです。その圭一が話すべき時だと判断したなら僕は文句なんか言わないのですよ。
Yeah, but see, Rika, the issue is Keiichi's also the stupidest person in this entire group.
ありがとう。ミオンもレナもそれでいいか？
Mion seemed to hesitate, not knowing if she should agree. But when she saw Rena's firm nod, she made up her mind and did the same.
よし行くぞミオン。
うん。
Only Chie-sensei was in the teacher's lounge. We didn't see the principal anywhere. The schedule on the blackboard under the principal's name said training going straight home. Our principal's sense of justice was too strong. Satoko's problem wouldn't be solved with something so vague. Maybe it was a stroke of good luck that he wasn't here. When the teacher saw Mion and I come in, she closed up her curry bento, saving the rest for later.
そこへおかけなさい。
She told us to take a seat in the chairs directly in front of the principal's seat. I hadn't sat in this chair since doing paperwork for transferring in. The two of us sat there uncomfortably before the teacher walked over carrying a notebook and a ballpoint pen and sat in front of us.
前原くん、今日は午前中お休みでしたけど。
すみません、寝坊です。
本当に？
She just hits us with the fucking liar. Fucking yells at us.
先生に嘘言っても。
She narrowed her eyes at me in suspicion. Now, sure of it, she wants to talk about
ま
Satoko.
ず2人とも知ってると思いますけど、お友達の北条さんがここしばらくお休みしてますね。
Neither Mion nor I had anything to say in response, but the teacher proceeded, not minding.
何か知っていますか？クラスで良くない噂をしている人たちがいます。
Mion looked down and remained silent as though she were being lectured. She sent me a quick glance. Everyone had made up their minds. They'd be leaving things to me.
委員長、前原くんも。先生は別に怒ってるんじゃありませんよ。もしも知っていたら教えてほしいとお願いしているだけです。
先生、先にこっちから質問してもいいですか？
How's the teacher not know? She's been here for how long? Oh, she's blushing. Damn, bro. Remake teacher, kind of a cutie, though. She must not have anticipated that response. She looked surprised.
クラス中でサトコのどんな噂が飛び交ってるかは知りませんが、仮にその噂が真実だったとして先生はどうするつもりですか？
どうするもこうするも、その話が本当なら放っておけません。
放っておけないって具体的にはどう放っておけないんですか？
Sensei's eyebrows shot up. Maybe I said it like I was trying to pick a
前
fight.
原くん、先生は真面目にお話ししてるんですよ。
先生こそ俺はすごく真面目な話をしているんです。まず答えてください。真実だったとしてどう放っておけないんです？
The uncle, she'd kill him. Sensei took a few breaths and began to speak slowly.
まず
Oh shit.
状況を確かめるために北条さんの家を家庭訪問します。
I mean, it's not like they'd let you in.
おじに怒鳴りつけられて追い返されるかもしれませんね。まあいいや。仮におじと聡子に会えたとします。それで
そしてその事実が確認できたなら指導します。
指導って曖昧な言い方はやめてください。具体的には何をするんですか？
Even despite my tone being so provocative, Chie-sensei bit back her emotions and listened calmly. I thought then that she was a good teacher. Chie-sensei really did have her students' best interests at heart. But she didn't have the power or the authority to save Satoko. If she let her sense of justice run away with her, the situation would get more complex. Sensei folded her arms and for a few moments she closed her eyes as though mentally concentrating. And when they opened again, there was a strictness in her eyes I'd never seen before.
児童福祉法という法律があります。この法律で児童に対する虐待は何人に対しても認められていないことが明記されています。
らしいですね。それで
沖宮の生活相談所へ通報します。さっき前原くんは追い返されると言いましたね。この相談所の職員は必要に応じて警察官を同行させることができます。
おいしい？
恫喝には絶対に屈しません。
その福祉士というお役所の人は連絡して書類で申請して何日後に助けに来てくれるんです？
即日です。彼らの仕事は児童の安全を緊急に保護することですから。
知ってますよ。緊急性があると判断された場合ですよ。認められなかったら先生と同じ指導をして様子見をするんですよね。見てるだけ。聡子のおじの機嫌を悪くして聡子をその場に残したままそれっきり。
ケイちゃん、ちょっと言い過ぎ。
嘘はついてないだろ。
Cage is locked in.
去年だか一昨年だかに児童相談所が来た時がまさにそうだったんだろう。その結果どうなった？俺よりもミオンや先生の方がよっぽどよく知ってるだろうが。
I had said too much. I didn't need Mion to tell me that. I was talking crazy and itching for a fight. I was supposed to be telling her about the situation only after I was sure we could save Satoko, but I basically told her everything right from the start. Chie-sensei looked at the clock, stood up, and picked up the phone at the principal's seat. Oh.
もしもし、内線の3455をお願いします。
いいの？ケイちゃん。本当に大丈夫かな？
It was too late. The die had been cast. Now we could only pray.
お世話になっております。ひなみ沢文庫教諭の千恵と申しますが、指導室の渡辺主事はいらっしゃいますでしょうか？
Mr. W. It wasn't Watanagashi, it was Watanabe.
はい、ええ。ちょっと急用がございまして、至急校長と連絡が取りたいのですが。はい、お願いします。緊急とお伝えください。よろしくお願いします。
Tatarigoroshi is not a name, I know, but it's the only W I knew, okay, motherfucker? The teacher put down the phone and tilted her head back and took a breath, like I always did.
二人にもう一度だけ聞きます。クラスのみんなの噂はすべて本当なんですね。
はい。俺は昨日聡子の家に行って実際にどういうことになっているのか見ました。
あとは先生に任せてください。
Oh no, it's not gonna work out, bro.
聡子ちゃんはきっと先生が何とかします。
なんとか？いい加減なことを言わないでください。なんとかじゃない。絶対でなければならない。 もしもまた様子見なんてことになったら、先生はどう責任を取るつもりですか。
While I was yelling, the phone rang. Chie-sensei snatched the receiver up first.
もしもし。あ、研修中申し訳ありません。
Oh, the principal.
はい。実は例の北条聡子さんの件でお話が。はい。
Sensei waved us away, telling us we could leave now. Mion went to leave, but I held my ground. I had a responsibility to make sure she stopped saying such vague, ambiguous things. If it didn't look like she was going to say anything substantial, then I'd tell them the truth, even if I had to steal the phone from her.
はい。いえ、まだ相談所には。はい。まだ確認はしていませんが、クラスの子の話では相当な様子です。
相当なんてもんじゃないぞ。すぐにだ。
Keiichi, you gotta chillax, bro.
今すぐ何とかしろ。通報するならどこへだっていい。でもな、もしも様子見なんてことになってみろ。ただじゃ済まさないからな。
I yelled angrily at Sensei and the principal on the other end. I wanted to somehow, some way convey to them just how dangerous her situation was right now.
それは分かっています。
You know what? I respect it, Keiichi. I'd do the same thing for my sibling, okay?
ちゃんと伝えますから。委員長、前原くんを連れて教室に戻りなさい。
あ、はい。行くよ、ケイちゃん。あとは先生たちに任せよ。
絶対だぞ。
Until the very last moment, I glared at Sensei. Chie-sensei was feeling pressured by the likes of me. Idiot, this isn't the time to feel pressured. Now's the time when you give me a firm nod to reassure me. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Calling Chie-sensei an idiot? Even so, we'd already left things in her hands. At this point, we really can't do anything but pray. Bang. Mion shut the door to the teacher's lounge. He's saying it in his head? I know he's saying it in his head, but like, I don't know. Keiichi's being a fucking bit of a dick, you know? Okay. Statistics from the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Article. Definition of child abuse. The term child abuse means the following acts committed by a custodian, meaning a person who exercises parental authority, a guardian of a minor, or other person who is currently engaged in the custody of a child. Hereinafter, the same shall apply. Against a child, meaning a person who is under 18 years old, hereinafter, the same shall apply. Assault a child in a manner that will cause or is likely to cause external injury on the body of a child. Engage in indecency against a child or cause the child to engage in indecency. Substantially reduce the amount of food for the child or abandon and neglect the child for a long time period in a manner that may interfere with the normal development of the child mentally or physically or otherwise materially fail to perform the duty of a custodian. Wait, I mean, I feel like that. Speak or behave in a manner that would be significantly traumatic to the child. Prohibition of child abuse. No person shall abuse a child. Okay. The die of fate had been cast. Reporting to a public agency, which we'd kept being warned could instead result in something far worse for Satoko if we didn't have the evidence first. And just like that, had I failed? Had I let my emotions get the better of me in that moment? Maybe I should have stayed silent and left everything to Mion, since she had been relatively calm. I remembered the punishment game where we had to badmouth Curry and how me saying anything would have made it worse. Satoko told us to leave the talking to her. Maybe it was the same thing here. I was impulsive, so maybe I should have just shut up and locked the door, looked at the floor. But it was too late to lament it. The die I had thrown wouldn't be coming back into my hands. All we could do was pray for something good to happen.
圭一くんは圭一くんにできる精一杯をしたよ。だからあとは先生たちに任せようね。
俺にできる精一杯？本当に俺が死に物狂いに精一杯だったら、里子を夕べのうちに連れ出してどこかの廃屋にでも隠れてる。そうならなかったってことは俺は精一杯じゃなかったってことだろ。
もう考えるのはよそ。圭一くん少し根を詰めすぎだよ。そんな調子じゃ圭一くんまで倒れちゃう。
Just leave me alone. I left her with those words and stared lazily up at the ceiling. Rude? I wondered if I'd really got Chie-sensei to understand. Would the public agency intervene and solve everything within the day? Would they acknowledge the abuse and guarantee her safety? After lunch break, our afternoon classes were mostly self-study. The teacher came back to the classroom occasionally, but then the phone in the lounge would ring and she'd have a long conversation with the caller. Everyone in class got the feeling they knew what those phone calls were about. Sensei came trotting back from the
今日
classroom.
は何度も電話で本当にすみませんでしたね。では今日はこれでおしまいにします。委員長、号令起立。
It looked to me like Sensei had been wearing a dark expression ever since after lunch break. It wasn't a very relieving expression. It wouldn't be. Even if Sensei 100% understood the situation and passionately explained it to the other person, at the end, the Child Consultation Center as a public agency would be the ones to decide whether to get her to safety. Sensei understood that as well as us, and that's why she looks so unreliable right now.
ケイちゃん、帰ろうよ。部活する気も起きないでしょ。
みーちゃん、部活は誰が欠けても面白くないよ。
And I was right. There's no fun for us if someone was missing. If the teacher's expression had shown more promise, then maybe we could have gone home more comfortably, but I couldn't let myself feel relieved. I couldn't be naive and tell myself all I can do is pray now that the dice have been cast, just in case they didn't get her to safety and decided to wait and see again. I need to take further measures. We've asked the people who could do something officially already. Then there was one more place that was worth asking for help. She might laugh it off, or I might be right, or I could be endangering my own life, but I try.
ミオ、今日さ、お前の家に寄ってもいいか？
Aw, shit, is he gonna beg the
お
grandma?
前、漫画かなり持ってるんだろ？少しまとめ狩りしたいんだけどな。
え？いいけど。
There was an ominous meaning behind my words, so Mion realized what I really meant right away. I wanted to talk about something alone. That's what I meant.
みーちゃん、圭一くん、早く帰ろう。
Rena already had her shoes on and was waving to us from the schoolyard. Mion's house was gigantic in every way imaginable. The house itself was was vaguely old-fashioned, traditional Japanese house, but the yard, I guess, or their plot of land was enormous. It easily convinced me that they really were major landowners with Hinamizawa under their thumb. Mion brought me through the guest room and a servant brought us some tea.
へえ、さすが金持ちだな。お手伝いさんなんか雇ってるのかよ。
私とバッチャしか住んでないもの。私だけじゃやってけないよ。
The servant left, telling us it was 5 o'clock, then withdrew with soft footsteps.
週に2、3回ね。バッチャの世話とか掃除の手伝いで来てくれてる。3、4人がローテーションで入ってくれてるんで、大抵毎日誰かがいてくれるよ。夕方までだけどね。あ、宴会とかがあって人手が欲しい時には別途に呼んでるんだけどさ。
If you had the money to hire all these people, then just take Satoko in. I glared at her as I thought that, and Mion seemed to catch on immediately.
ごめん。
This fuck Keiichi's such a bitch, bro.
いいよ。金の問題じゃないことは分かってるからな。
先に言っとくけど、うちはお金持ちかもしれないけど、私に自由にできるお金は全くないんだからね。そこだけは誤解しないでほしい。
It kind of looked like I was bullying her. Mion had been apologizing to me a lot lately. Was Mion the sort of person who would do that this much? Maybe it's just that I've been looking so grim lately.
でさ、何？ケイちゃん、なんか話があったんじゃないの？
ミオンにかなり本気な話がある。突然な話でミオンは面食らうかもしれないが、聞いてほしい。
何？
He wants to awaken her demon to kill the uncle.
あ、先に逃げ道を渡しておくな。仮に本当だったとして、ミオンはそれを認めてくれなくてもいい。
Wait! I think Takano said it was the Sonozakis and maybe even Mion directly, and so Keiichi's going to ask her to kill the uncle this year.
しらばっくれててもいい。だけれど、最後まで俺の話は聞いてほしい。鬼ヶ淵村御三家の今や筆頭家、その次期当主の園崎美音に話がある。
At first, Mion looked like she had no idea what I was saying, but at hearing the whole sentence and putting it together, she reacted.
どこで聞いたの？
それは関係ないことだ。
Oh shit. The music's cueing. I definitely couldn't tell her who told me. Takano-san, you told me not to, but please forgive me. This was why I asked you about it after all.
ケイちゃんが鬼ヶ淵村の名を知ってることだけでも驚きだけど、私についていろいろとあることないことを知ってそうだね。
ああ、あることないことだ。俺が勘違いしてるだけなのかもしれない。でもそれでもいいから聞いてくれ。そしてもしも本当なんだったら、
ケイちゃんが何の話をしようとしてるかわからないけど、話す前に釘を刺すよ。とにかくケイちゃんは大きな勘違いをしてる。だからできるなら私はケイちゃんの話も聞きたくない。聞いても何も叶えてあげられないからね。でも話すことでケイちゃんの肩が少しでも軽くなるなら聞くよ。本当に聞くだけ。何も起こらないよ。それでもいいね。
ああ。
You don't seem to know what kind of thing I'd be talking about. She warned me that doing so would be fruitless. That much was obvious. If what I was going to say was true, then the Sonozaki family would be the masterminds behind the string of freak deaths that have been occurring every year in
お
Hinazawa.
社様のたたりってあるよな。
You're not at all
正
alone.
体不明。なぜ起こるのかも不明。個々には解決しながらも、全体で見れば不可解な連続開始、連続でも一つだけ共通することがある。それは必ず村の旧敵が標的に選ばれること。
みたいだね。
Mion spoke as if it didn't relate to her. That was fine. She didn't have to admit it. For now, I just wanted her to stay quiet and listen to me.
あさってだろ、綿流し。今年のたたりの犠牲者ってさ、もう決まってるのか？
Mion didn't answer. Her expression remained the same too. Like she said, she was just quietly listening.
ごめんな。聞いてるだけって約束なのに、質問しちゃ変だよな。
Mion gave me a look she'd never given me before, a faraway look, a sympathetic one. She didn't nod, she just smiled faintly and listened
も
to
し
me.
も今年のたたりが里子のおじじゃなかったなら、里子のおじに変えてくれ。だって去年は里子のおばだろ。順番から言えば決しておかしくはないだろう。
Yeah, but then always someone has to disappear, Keiichi, so who would disappear?
そうだね。そういう順序もあるね。
第一あいつ去年のたたりでおばが死んだ後、里子を放り出して丸1年町に逃げ出してたじゃないか。そんなやつ もろにお社様のたたり確定じゃないかよ。今年のたたりに選んでも不足はないはずだぜ。
そうだね。今年のたたりであいつが死んでも多分みんな納得するね。
俺聞いたんだ。お社様のたたりってのはその
No matter how I looked at it, I wasn't sure whether I should continue. No matter how I tried, the words wouldn't come out.
ひなみ沢連続開始事件、通称お社様のたたりは園崎家が主導で御三家が起こしている村ぐるみの事件だでしょ。
Oh, I mean, you said it, not me.
別に俺はそれにミオンが関わってるとかそんなのには興味がないんだ。ただもしもそういうたたりを決めている連中に渡りがつくなら里子の叔父をたたりに選ぶように言ってほしいだけなんだ。
Doesn't this make Keiichi accessory to murder because he's part of conspiring to kill someone?
頼む。
ケイちゃんの言ってる内容はさっきから本当にひどいこと。ひなみ沢連続開始事件が園崎家主導の事件なんだとしたら、それじゃあ主犯格は私ってことだよね。私がたたりを決め指示をし、何人も殺めて消したことになる。ケイちゃんは私を人殺し呼ばわりするんだ。
I mean, you did kill me last chapter, but you know.
だから言ってるじゃないか。ミオンが連続殺人の主犯だろうと無関係だろうと俺はどうでもいいんだ。たとえミオンが殺人犯だって
Yeah, or did she? Was it Shion the whole time?
何も関係ないじゃないか。
Even if you were the culprit. And what happened to Shion as well? She had that whole moment with Satoshi and then just disappeared. So like, and then the only other person who had that type of reaction to Satoshi, by the way, in this entire series so far, was that demon mode, quote unquote, Mion. But what if that was never Mion and that was Shion as well? And then why was it that Mion was the person that was found dead in the well? I'm saying, man, I think Shion is sus. I think maybe Shion might be the real person behind everything.
それでも全然構わないんだぜ。警察に追われたら助けてやる。お前のアリバイを作ってやるし、逃走だって助けてやる。仲間で親友だからだ。そうだろ。
Mion looked surprised for a while. She was dumbfounded.
いきなり共犯宣言？ケイちゃん、かなり大胆だよそれ。
いいから話の腰を折るな。里子の叔父を今年のたたりに。
ケイちゃんストップ。
ストップ。
そろそろご飯の準備をしたいから今日はこれくらいにしたいんだけど。
ミオン。
I then realized that my cheeks were wet with tears. They slid down my chin and fell, drip drop to the tatami mat. No, bars.
最初から言ってる通り、ケイちゃんは大きな勘違いをしてる。お社様のたたりはお社様のたたり。たとえ人間の起こした事件であったにせよ、それは園崎家とは、ましてや私とは何の関係もないよ。
ああ、それは分かっているさ。
だからケイちゃんの必死の訴えには胸を打たれるけど、それだけ。
I feel like Mion is just like, she's just in family head mode, you know? That's why she's just keeping such a perfect face.
私が叶えてあげたくても叶えてあげられない。それもわかるね。
ああ。
でもケイちゃんの気持ちは痛いくらいに分かったよ。もしも本当に私がケイちゃんの言うように御三家を操って毎年の犠牲者を選べる立場にあったなら、きっと私はケイちゃんの願いを叶えているよ。
ミオン。
でも現実は違う。私はただの園崎ミオン。確かに園崎家は いろいろな意味で悪い噂を持ってひなみ沢を影から支配している一族だけれども、連続開始事件とは何の関係もない。
Or maybe Mion doesn't know, but Shion does.
ダム闘争では
Shion's the
確か
real
に
one
少々
behind
過激
everything.
な抵抗もしたけれど、それだけ。人殺しなんて大それたこと。
そんな悲しいこと言うなよ。せめて今だけでも嘘でもいいからうなずいてくれればいいじゃないか。
ケイちゃん、夢を見るのは勝手。私がここでうなずいてみせれば、ケイちゃんはサトコがあさっての夜に解放されると信じて肩の荷を下ろすことができるんだろうけどね。でも無情にもサトコの叔父はあさっての夜も超える。来週になっても再来週になっても居続ける。それを覚悟してね。私は
Unless we kill him
綿流
ourselves.
しの次の日になぜ殺さなかったなんてケイちゃんに詰め寄られたくない。
ミオ。
Mion stood up slowly and closed the sliding door to keep out the wind that had grown chilly.
ミオさんかな、ケイちゃんにそんな話を吹き込んだのは。
Oh, well, yeah. Takano's dead again.
あの人ひなみ沢をいい感じに誤解してるからな。
Oh, shit. Yep. Takano, well, this time I think it might be Keiichi's fault she's dying, you know? Every other time I think it was her fault, but this time for sure.
まあ本人が一人で楽しんでる分にはいいんだけど、ケイちゃんを感化するのはいただけないな。
And that's why you're killing her.
やれやれ、これだからよそ者は。
Oh, okay, Mia, at this point I feel like you're just like indirectly telling Keiichi like who you're actually gonna kill. Like, yeah, she made the same face. She made the same face the last chapter when, and the same like wording when she found out that he met up with Shion.
高野さんは関係ないからな。
はいはい。でも安心して。仮にミオさんがケイちゃんに喋ったと分かったって別にどうにもならないんだから。
Yeah, bet, bitch.
別にミオさんが今年のタタリに選ばれるわけじゃない。
I mean, she's been chosen every fucking chapter so far.
そもそも今年もタタリがあるかどうかなんてわからないよ。あんなの不幸な偶然がただ積み重なっただけなんだからさ。
Holy, listen, maybe Mion's just trying to gaslight us really hard.
聞いてくれてありがとな。もしもミオンが連続事件と何の関係もなかったなら本当に不愉快な話をした。謝っておくな。
そうだね。謝っておいてくれるかな。
Mion says she didn't have much time, but she still brought me to the gate. She said she had a meeting or something today about Sunday's Watanagashi festival, so there would be a lot of people from the town council and the festival committee coming. Despite her day being so busy, she still listened to what I had to say.
天に神様がいるならさ、きっとケイちゃんの強い思いは伝わるから。
あ、今日は変な話をして本当にごめんな。今日の話はなかったことにしてくれていい？
うん、忘れておくよ。
じゃあ明日な。
バイバイ。
Bro, listen, say what you want. I think Mion is best girl, you know? If Keiichi, right, did have a, proper relationship with someone, it should be with Mion. I mean, I know Rena is like, the Giga Chad that we can rely on, but like, she's kind of fucking psycho. Like, at least Mion is psycho, but like, she's got a demon excuse, right? Like, Rena's just a fucking psychopath. I had really only spent a short time with Mion. Mion has an excuse, chat. She literally has a demon residing within her, okay? Rena doesn't. Rena's just an actual fucking demon. How about Shion? Nah, Shion's a fucking NTRing fucking cuck bitch, okay? It was clear that what Takano-san had told me at least wasn't a complete fabrication. If Mion was really unconnected to the events, then she probably wouldn't have listened to me so quietly. She heard me out until I was done without making any quips, and I wanted to think that was proof. That's what I was saying. I did kind of feel like I was grasping at straws. Of course, thinking back on it, it was a terrible thing to discuss. I mean, I went to my friend's house, called her a serial murderer, and then told her to kill Satoko's uncle. I was the only one talking that whole time. Mion quietly listened to everything I had to say like a pastor listening to a confession. She could have gotten angry partway through, told me off and to go to wash my face in miso soup and come back later, but she didn't. Was that proof that Mion's family, the Sonozakis, were the masterminds? Or was she just listening because she felt sorry for me going kind of crazy? Well, we already know the Sonozakis are behind it because the body that was found was literally said to be tied to S group, which the only S group we know is fucking Sonozakis. I didn't know which it was, but it was the one effort I could make at the moment. It was another form of insurance. Should worst come to worst and the public agency decide to wait and see. What if it isn't S group for Sonozaki group? What if it's Shion group? It was a completely useless resistance, literally grasping at straws. Wait, the Satoko group? What? Wait a second. No way. Sensei said that if she reported it to the Child Consultation Center, they'd have to respond on the same day. Could they already be in the middle of responding to it now? If Satoko came to school tomorrow morning all energetic, then everything would be just a needless fear. Why? Wait, Satoshi group. Oh my god. Wait, maybe that's why he disappeared. He disappeared to go actually create his own gang and then to come back to Hinamizawa to save his fucking sister from the evil uncle, who also, remember, has ties to a gang. So he needed to build up his gang to go against... Oh my god. The night was unusually hot and humid, and I couldn't get to sleep. I said all that to Sensei. They couldn't possibly decide to wait and see again this year. Satoko, what was it like for her tonight? Has she tasted the end of her nightmare, enjoying a night of liberation? I actually put my hands together and prayed into my futon.
おはよ
よかった。今日もお寝坊かと思ったよ。昨日はおばさまには先に行ったって言われるし、学校には来ていないし、途中で日射病で倒れちゃったのかなって心配してたんだから。
う。へいへい。昨日は心配かけて申し訳ございませんでした。
Hey, good morning.
Why would Mion be speaking mad English suddenly?
みーちゃん、おはよう。大丈夫？なんかすっごく眠そうだよ。
She's a JoJo character.
そういえば昨日は遅くまで町会の人が集まっての打ち合わせ会だったんだろ？
Wait, now we're the day before Watanagashi. Why does she look so tired? Because she probably already killed the person, because remember, the person was always dead for 24 hours by the time it was Watanagashi.
打ち合わせ会なんて名ばかりの宴会だよ。毎年やってるお祭りだもん。今さら小難しい打ち合わせなんかないし。
今日の午後はやっぱりお祭りのお手伝いに行くのかな？
うん、バッチャの代わりにいろいろ挨拶しなきゃなんないし。それにね、祭りってのは準備からもう始まってるからね。
Our morning conversation was lighthearted as usual. It looked like Mion had thankfully forgotten about how I barged into her house yesterday with that crazy talk. The more I think back on it, it felt like I'd really said something terrible to her. I was really thoughtless, and it wouldn't have been weird if she yelled at me. It was highly possible Takano-san had exaggerated her story. To think that her comrade and friend Mion, the young leader of the Sonozakis, one of the three families effectively controlling Hinamizawa, was pulling the strings behind the serial death incidents was a little unbelievable. But if there was even a 1% chance that it was true, then what I said to Mion yesterday to Mion might have been a success. God, you're so fat. Fucking stretching for like 30 seconds, huh? Yes, it was no more than 1 in 100. But that little bit of effort might have brought the chances of saving Satoko up by even a little bit. Chat, you don't understand, alright? Dodi used to be able to just be like, oh, roll, like, be on his back and then just like flip over. Now he just like... and needs to like full on like fucking do a weird ass full loop to get his ass off. Fucking... I thought you were talking to Lily? No, I'm talking to my dog, bro. Why would I say that to Lily? At least I made that effort. After yesterday ended, I was sure I'd done everything I possibly could. If there was something else I could do, it was probably just to clap my hands and pray that Satoko's uncle would be killed by the curse.
サトコ、今日は来ているといいな。
そうだね。先生がいろいろと手配してくれたんでしょ。うん、きっと大丈夫だよ。
ひなみざわ地区の民生委員が私のおばさんなんだけどさ、ゆうべ電話して聞いてみたよ。
へえ、みーちゃんのおばさんって民生委員さんなんだね。
Well, Mion, do you have anybody not working in any fucking department in every fucking goddamn position in the world?
それで、さとこちゃんのことなんて言ってたの？
うん、先生があの後直接県の児童相談所に電話してね、児童福祉士が夕べのうちに訪問したらしいよ。私のおばさんにも今後定期的にアプローチするようにと連絡があったって。
小難しい話はいいよ。それよりサトコはどうなったんだよ。保護されたのか？
おばさんはそこまでは知らされてなかったみたい。本来はこういうのって秘密だからね。おばさんが私に話してくれたのも十分に倫理違反なんだしさ。
くそ、かえって不安になったぞ。
行こう、学校に。
Right. Discussing this more would just make us feel worse. It was far quicker to go to school and see if Satoko was safe or not. The three of us nodded and ran off. Was Satoko safe? What measures had the child consultation center taken? I didn't care what, as long as we could go back to our peaceful life with Satoko today. It didn't matter to me. At the shoe rack at the entrance, Rana took a peek in Satoko's shoe cubby.
あ、さとこちゃんの靴あるよ。
ケイちゃん、さとこは来てるよ。よかった。
来てるだけじゃわからないだろ。サトコの顔を見るまで何もわかるものか。
We trotted towards the classroom. What are they, Uma Musume characters? The classroom was lively as it usually was in the
サト
morning.
コ、どこだ？
みー、ここにちゃんといますですよ。朝っぱらから騒々しいですわね。少しはお静かになさいませ。
She's alive!
さとこちゃん、大丈夫だった？
All of her friends crowded around Satoko excitedly.
保護士来たんでしょ？どういう話になったわけ？
呼んだのはどなたですの？まったくどんな騒ぎでしたのよ。
先生だよ。あれだけ欠席すりゃ心配もする。
Satoko said, I told you I'm fine under her breath. She was still trying to overcome all the suffering on her own.
私もおじさまもとんだ迷惑でしたのよ。急にあんなに人に押しかけられて、もう。みんなさとこちゃんのこと心配してたんだよ。迷惑だなんて言わないで。
ああ、もう。とにかくそれでどうなったんだよ。
どうもこうもしませんわ。風邪が治ったから学校に来ただけのことですのよ。これからはあんまりお休みして心配をかけないようにしないといけませんわね。
What was Satoko saying?
おじさんは どうなったの？
Mion's face.
多少誤解があったことを認めて、二人でごめんなさいをしまして。
Oh god. That means the uncle's still alive. Unless it's just a ghost of him. Tug. Rika-chan grabbed the back of my collar and pulled me away.
なんだよリカちゃん。
Rika-chan silently dragged me all the way into the hallway.
リカちゃん、あれはどういうことだよ。
サトコは何でもないと言って追い返してしまいました。
バカ野郎！なんで？
No, somewhere in my mind I thought it might turn out like this. Satoko didn't ask for anyone's help. She didn't hide behind anyone. She was trying to ride out this pain. She wanted to show Satoshi proof that if he came back to them, she wouldn't need to hide behind him anymore.
だけど監督に聞いた話じゃ、保護士ってのは本人の意思に関係なく緊急保護をすることができるんだろ？いくらサトコが虐待を否定したって虐待は事実。
Chie-sensei finally came. Her expression was far from cheerful.
前原君の言う通り、児童福祉士は緊急性があると判断すれば職権で緊急保護をすることができます。当事者の意思に関係なく。
じゃあどうしてサトコの意思が変に尊重されて保護されないことに？
Whoa, what did I just press?
じゃあどうしてサトコの意思が変に尊重されて保護？じゃあどうしてサトコの意思が変に尊重されて保護されないことに？
How do I turn lip sync back on? What the bitch?
じゃあどうしてサトコの意思が変に尊重されて
Hang on.
保護されないことに？
I don't know how I managed to do that. Oh, there we go. On. All right, we're good.
それに沖宮の相談所もいろいろ検討した末にそういう判断を。
なんだよそりゃ！先生、昨日あんた絶対に助けるから大丈夫って言わなかったか？これはどういうことだよ！おかしいじゃねえかよ！おい！
ケイチ、
Hey, the lip sync's not working. What the hell, man? Oh, hotkey is 7. Okay.
実は
There we go.
サトコの児童虐待の通報はこれが3回目なのです。
Third time?
過去にも2回あったので
I
す。
thought it was only one time before.
古出さん、
Sensei tried to stop her, but Rika-chan went on speaking
過去
anyway.
に一昨年の冬に通報して様子見になったって話は聞いてるが、その前にもあったのか？
サトコの死んでしまったお父さんはサトコの本当のお父さんではないのです。
Wait, what the fuck?
リカちゃん、それがえ？
I'm stunned at the sudden revelation. I had no idea what Rika-chan wanted to tell me, but it seemed really important, so I couldn't get a word in either.
サトコのお母さんは再婚なのです。サトコとサトシはお母さんの連れ子で、お父さんとは血はつながっていなかったのです。
Satoshi was a good kid, one who listened politely to what adults told him. He was immediately welcomed by their new father and was loved. But Satoko was different. She was rebellious, she told lies, she played pranks. Her stepfather didn't like her at all.
つまりどういうことだよ？
聡子はおじ夫婦に預けられる以前の家族の時もあまり良好な家族関係ではなかったのです。
Of course, the stepfather didn't have any malicious intent at the start. At first, he must have worked hard to get his new daughter to accept him. But the young Satoko didn't make any effort at all towards that end. She was distant towards her stepfather and never opened her heart to him even a little. She just got on his nerves all the time with seemingly forced lies and pranks. Her father's discipline and punishment must have been loving at first, of course, but that too faded quickly.
私はその時はひなみ沢にいなかったから、よく昨日電話で初めて知りました。
先生が聞いたのはどんな話ですか？
聡子ちゃんが両親特に義理のお父さんを陥れるのを目的に嘘の話を作って自分で生活相談所に電話したって。
自称と作り話？
聡子は嫌いなお父さんを追い払うため嘘の電話をしたのです。
Child welfare officers rushed there and heard the story. Her father genuinely apologized for a few times when he had gone too far and agreed to let the child welfare center give him
いろい
coaching.
ろと関係機関が調べた結果ねギフと聡子ちゃんの心のすれ違いに原因があることは分かったんだけど、それ以上に聡子ちゃん自身に問題があることが分かったの。
聡子に問題って何です？
Satoko's mother, there were a few times where she had lived with de facto husbands, though those relationships didn't result in remarriage. From a young age, Satoko had been forced to call at least 2 or 3 people her father. At some point, Satoko's pranks escalated. She would spill food on purpose, turn over her plate, and even throw it. She would break the windows in the neighborhood and shoplift candy. She would put thumbtacks everywhere and set other traps to seriously hurt people. Not in the way she did now just to get laughs. She was also fond of telling lies that would be found out right away, and people got mad at her every time. But she never ever changed her behavior.
聡子ちゃんのことを問題児なんて思わないでね。これは幼い聡子ちゃんが母親を知らない男に取られまいとして取った自衛的な行為なの。
In regards to Satoko's problematic behavior, child psychology experts from public institutions indicated her actions were to draw her mother's attention to herself. They acknowledged that she had a form of harmful emotional trauma and declared that she needed counseling and therapy from professionals. They didn't know whether that therapy had healed the wounds in her heart.
聡子ちゃんはわざと体に傷を作り、お父さんに虐待を受けているとね。
でも結局聡子をいじめてたわけだろ、その義父は。
いいえ、虐待の話は全部聡子ちゃんの作り話だった。
Are they possibly implying that it might be the same case now, where Satoko might be just bruising herself?
義理のお父さんはもちろん少し感情的な叱り方をしてしまったかもしれないけど、逸脱しているほどではなかったの。
But the uncle totally told her to fucking go to the other side of the town to buy fucking, sake and like cigarettes and shit. So I don't feel like. Satoko had lied to chase away her stepfather. And they saw through her right away and found out that Satoko had issues.
ひょっとしてそのせいで一昨年の冬は様子見に？
はい、児童相談所にちゃんと昔の記録が残ってましたですから。聡子の嘘の可能性もあるから慎重にということになりましたのです。
なんだよそれ、つまりなんだよ。聡子は嘘をつくかもしれないから慎重に。
But it might be a situation where she actually isn't lying. And there actually is abuse, but like she set herself up.
だから
Nobody believes her
様
anymore.
子を見ろってことになってるのかよ。
狼と羊飼いさんなのです。
That fable about telling a lie once, making others unwilling to believe you later.
ふざけんなよ。昔のことなんか全然無関係だろう。今現在起こっている事実だけが重要なんだろうが。聡子はおじに虐待されている。どうしてその事実が昔の出来事で歪められなきゃならねえんだよ。
Well, that's reality. That's reality, Keiichi. Neither Sensei nor Rika-chan had anything to say to that.
とにかくそれを慎重に判断するために保護士さんが昨日訪れましたのです。
Satoko dealt with them, put on the best, strongest smile she could manage, and denied the abuse. Of course, she was probably being threatened to keep quiet about it by her uncle. Satoko was trying to outlast everything without asking for help. Satoko wanted to wait for Satoshi to come back home, and she outright denied the truth of the abuse. What an idiot. What? You're not really enduring it. Do you really think pretending like this will actually bring Satoshi back? Just stop it already. Satoshi, he abandoned you. The fact that he hasn't showed up to save you now is proof, isn't it? So just stop it. Please stop being weird and pretending to endure it.
今した話はいいですね。他の子に喋ったら先生怒りますからね。
God damn, bro. This motherfucker has to keep like 5 million secrets. Chie-sensei gave me a warning, then left to go back to the teacher's lounge.
圭一、聡子のことをかわいそうな子なんて思わないでくださいです。聡子はしっかり生きていますです。聡子は
そんなの分かってる。俺たちのかけがえのない仲間だ。
聡子はまだ頑張っています。もう少し見守ってあげましょうです。相談所の人が今後も定期的に訪問すると言ってるのです。大変なことになったらすぐに助けてくれますよ。
大変なことになった後だろ。
Any more than that would have sounded like I was picking a fight, so I firmly swallowed my next words and went back to the classroom. Mion and Rena were talking to Satoko like they always did. It was a silly conversation, a humorous, even fun one, like it was any old day. If Satoko really said she could still endure it, then maybe I should do as Rika-chan said and watch over her. Maybe whatever help I offer will just go unwanted.
さーて、お昼でございますわね。みー5人揃ってのお昼は久しぶりだね。やっぱりこうじゃないとダメだよね。
まったく同感同感。ほらほらケイちゃんも机寄せて。
Satoko brought her own desk over as well, grinning broadly. Even knowing nothing had been resolved, this exchange was pleasant and made me remember how fun it used to be.
いつまでもリカにお弁当を作ってもらっては悪いですわね。いいのですよ。聡子のお弁当を作るのは僕の楽しみなのです。
Rika-chan's such a good girl. Having such a good friend must be so reassuring.
僕に大きなハンバーグを入れて、聡子には焦げたのを入れて、聡子だけかわいそうかわいそうでミパーン。
Take it back? Well, she's Rika-chan after all.
ほらほら見て見て。今日はほらオムライスなんだよ。マッシュルームとか美味しそうだよね。だよね。はう。いつもながらお見事なお手前でございましたよ。いつお嫁に行ってもおかしくない腕前ですわね。お嫁お嫁お嫁。
あ、
お嫁を食べると。
What?
レナにお嫁は NG ワードだね。以後控えるように。
こんな のちょっぴり反省しましたよ。
ところでミオンの弁当はなんだよ。今日のはまた趣が違って期待大だな。
おじさんはまったりと夕べのおかず詰め合わせね。
It's mystery meat.
煮物がいい感じなんだよ。ほら大根の色はかなりいいでしょ。
わあ、美味しそうなのです。
煮物は一晩寝かせてからが真骨頂だな。これはかなりいけそうだ。よって聡子の分はなし。俺が全部食って感想を聞かせるから黙って見てろ。
なんですって？私の分もおよこしなさいな。
Elbow punch, headbutt. I'll use my knees too. Oria.
密着距離まで入れば私の有利は動きませんわね。ケイチさんの分のお大根が実に美味しいですわ。
ちっくしょう。バトル開始時から密着でいきなりコンボとは。無念。
This little exchange, how long had it been? It looked like they'd ended up going with the wait and see approach, but maybe her uncle had realized he'd gone a little too far and would dial it back now. Her treatment improved a little, would that be a good thing? Satoko was grinning wider than I'd ever seen as she chomped down on her mouthful of daikon she'd plundered from me. Did it really taste that good? Satoko was somewhat cute like that, and just as I had done many times, I grabbed her head and started petting it. Oh. Catch. Smack, flip, flop, clatter, clatter.
さとこちゃん？
Oh. It was so sudden that for a moment I didn't know what had happened. The back of my hand was stinging. I wanted to pet Satoko's head and then she hit my hand?
どうしたの聡子。
Satoko was scratching at her head. Huh? As though a pimple or something had appeared on it and became itchy. It was so sudden and so unprovoked that I didn't understand what happened.
どうした聡子。
At some point, her body had been covered in a thin layer of sweat and her breathing had turned ragged. Oh shit. Bro, she's got the fucking... It's her fucking instincts. When I pet her head, did she not like it? Was that what it meant?
お前、頭撫でられるの嫌いだったっけ？
Once again, slowly, I held out the palm of my hand and brought it close to Satoko's head. The instant the palm of my hand touched her head, there was a shock like static electricity and Satoko began to howl. Thud, slam. She grabbed my arm in both hands and as if flinging off a snake trying to cling to her, as if trying to throw away something dirty, she threw it violently. It happened too suddenly for me to react. I hit the desk behind me and both it and I fell to the floor. The classroom fell deathly silent. As Satoko bellowed, it sounded like she was in the throes of death and she unsteadily backed away. Then she threw up the food she'd just eaten. She vomited all back up. Splish, splat. The sound of Satoko's vomit hitting the floor rang through the classroom.
大丈夫かよ聡子。具合でも。 I reached out a hand and she swatted away with all her might, with such extreme strength that I fell into the floor again. Satoko put both hands on her head as though protecting it, groaned some more and took a few steps back. And then she began swinging both hands around. Students in nearby seats were forced to evacuate. She grabbed everything within reach, bento boxes, chairs, threw them, tossed them, and flung them about.
ちょっとやめなよ聡子。あんたどうしちゃったの？
She screamed out as if Mion's word had caused her physical pain. No one spoke a word to her. All the students were withdrawing behind us, leaving Satoko alone in the corner of the classroom. Around her, there were desks and chairs all over the floor. Bento lay scattered. It was terrible. All I could hear was Satoko's ragged breath and the voices of the cicadas. The strings of tension loosened around Satoko, and maybe she suddenly grew scared of her own actions because she started trembling and gave a word of apology, but nobody knew just who that apology was directed towards. So for now, I decided to answer as everyone's representative.
いや、そっちこそ大丈夫か？
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
Our words didn't match each other at all. Satoko hugged her shoulders and back she went. Bang. She ran into the locker with the cleaning supplies in it. Even that made her give a little yelp. The impact caused the bucket atop the locker to fall, making a loud sound, and that scared Satoko most of all. She almost jumped out of her skin, grabbed the bunch of the curtain in her hands. Nobody spoke to her. They could only look, not even remembering to blink.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。私じゃないです。私じゃないです。
Satoko, what? What on earth? I stood up, took a step away from everyone, and approached
何
Satoko.
があったんだ？
だから私知らないです。私知らないです。違うからもう嫌です。やめてください。許して。
落ち着けよ、サトコ。俺がわかるか？
もう嫌だ。嫌です。
Every time I took a step forward, she grasped the curtains more tightly and cried
サト
out.
コ、俺だよ。ケイチだ。わかんないのか？お前に危害なんか加えない。だから落ち着けって。大丈夫だ。俺はお前の味方だって。
助けて。怖いのやだ。気持ち悪いのやだ。
Nah, kill the uncle, bro. I think he's doing some fucked up shit with her. All right, Mion. We're gonna have to. I think we, you know, Takano. She could die next year. All right, we gotta switch targets this year. Okay. Takano, she'll be here next year doing some stupid shit. You know, we could get her again next year. You know. Suddenly, my shoulders were grabbed and I was dragged backwards. It was Rena.
ごめん、ケイチ君。ケイチ君はちょっと後ろに行ってて。
Yeah, I think it's because Keiichi's a guy. I think if like Mion or Rena get close to her, it should be fine. After pulling me back, she ran towards Satoko in my place.
大丈夫だよ、さとこちゃん。もう怖いことなんかないよ。ほら、安心して。やだ。もうやだ。でも、やだ。にー。助けて。にー。助けてよ。
As she gripped the curtains and kept calling for Nini, she continued to wail about being forgiven for something and to be saved from something. What is this? Mion gnashed her teeth and groaned, and there were tears falling from her firmly closed
ど
eyes.
うなってんだよ、これ。
Oh no, Mion's locked in now.
昨日で全部終わったんじゃないのか？今日からまた元の生活に戻っていくんじゃないのか？ミオン。
There was a crazy sound. Rena had taken the cleaning supply locker and kicked it down to the ground. Everyone stood surprised at Rena's unexpected act of brutality. After that, Rena embraced the bawling Satoko from behind and started crying with her
レ
stifled.
ナ、どうした？
ごめん、ケイチ君。ちょっと黙ってて。
今のはなんだよ。どうしたんだよ。サトコから何か聞いたのか？何を聞いたんだよ。
サイナー。黙ってろって言ってんでしょ。
Thank you. Fucking Keiichi like can't get a hint. Rena's raw, hostile emotion hit me like a brick. It was no more than a momentary howl of emotion for Rena, but it was more than that for me. She had shown me what was behind all that emotion, what was in her heart.
さとこちゃん。やだやだやだやだ。もうやだやだやだ。許して。何もできなかった私たちを許して。ごめんね。ごめんね。
Forgive us for being unable to do anything? Rena's words made me feel as though the blood vessels in the back of my head were suddenly all turning to ash. My vision grew distant, blurred with gray, and the world lost its color. I thought we could save Satoko, but though I knew it'd be sooner the better, I thought there was no time limit for doing that. I never even dreamed that we could be too late. I'd been making a huge mistake. I thought Satoko could be hurt, but never that she'd break. It was such a huge mistake. People, they break, thinking that they don't is absolutely absurd. We needed to save Satoko. We needed to save her before she broke. That fatal lapse in awareness had brought this on. Whose fault was it? That went without saying. Mine? No, ours. We all took on the duty of saving Satoko, but we were negligent to the point of laziness. In that sense, this was the inevitable result. Even if this didn't happen today and it happened tomorrow or the day after or next week, we would have just sat around doing nothing until that day. So this was the obvious result. I slumped down to my knees just as Mion and Rika-chan had done, and I too closed my eyes tight and couldn't stop myself from sobbing.
何の騒ぎですか？ちょっと何があったんです？
The teacher came and her face screwed up at the terrible spectacle before her. The instant she realized the teacher was here, Satoko went through another complete change. She wiped her face with the curtains and, like nothing happened, smiled.
北条さん、これは一体何事ですか？
ちょっとレナさんと喧嘩になってしまっただけですのよ。お弁当をめぐってちょっぴり大暴れなんですの。ね。
Ren didn't nod in reply, but then, since Satoko wished it, she nodded without strength. The rest of the class couldn't keep up with her extreme changes. We all just stared in a daze.
ちょっと悪ふざけをしただけなんですのよ。皆さん、度肝を抜かれすぎでございますわね。
Satoko would probably sweep the whole thing under the rug. For what? Her heart is torn to pieces, so what? What else? You wanted your Nini to help, didn't you? But unfortunately for you, Satoshi doesn't ever intend on coming back. It's never that easy. He won't just conveniently show up and save you. So you don't have to wait for him anymore. You can cry, beg for help, and you can run away. Whoa. What the fuck?
私たちが無力だから。
Mion suddenly said. She spoke then those few words that had tormented me countless times. Those words were a spell, and when I heard them, my whole body suddenly regained its calm. My emotions all slipped away like they'd never been there, like a wave departing. And then the world's color flipped inside out. What the fuck? New OST? My field of view expanded. Oh my god. He's solo leveling. He's getting stat points. My head grew remarkably cold, and I felt like my mind's volume had grown even wider than the classroom we were in. At the time, my soul was doubtlessly no longer in the small, petty vessel of my head, but floating in the air a little bit above it. It was a mysterious feeling of release. I broke free of the cramped confines of my skull and stretched out my roots in all directions as far as I wanted to. It was a strange feeling and one I've never ever felt before. An odd sense of exhilaration. My sharp senses caused me to transcend. My mind was sharper than a knife's edge, and I immediately decided that spending time to let myself be crushed with grief would be an absolute waste. I erased all the garbage information from my brain. I expelled the pointless emotions presenting obstacles to action. Holy shit, bro. He fucking took some crack cocaine. If I could have taken back what had happened by crying about it, I'd have cried all day. But the fact was, this was how things had turned out. I couldn't take back what had happened. The top priority then would be to prevent the situation from worsening further and to sever the chains of misfortune. Until today, I've been looking at things so narrow-mindedly, I could scarcely believe it. He's locking in. Time to kill the uncle. To save Satoko, the only thing to do was to save Satoko. That's the only thing I thought about. I didn't allow myself to realize the most basic, direct, and certain way of removing the source of Satoko's unhappiness. No, actually, I realized it yesterday. But as for the means, I relied on some stupid curse from some dumb deity. I never considered carrying the task out myself. I would obliterate Satoko's uncle. There were plenty of ways to do it. This was a task that held infinite methods. Ironically, the method of saving Satoko required mostly money, but the method of killing that man pretty much took no money at all. I could kill him with the least amount of investment, the least amount of money suited him. It was only the weight of his life. I kept eliminating needless, worthless information from my head, replenishing it with only the knowledge I'd need to achieve my goal. I used every cell in my brain to think about how I'd kill him. The way I'd kill him didn't matter. I would allow any method from whatever time and whatever country as long as it ended in a quick and certain death. If I were to have an additional condition, it would be to not get caught. Removing him was an act designed to return the peaceful times we had with Satoko. If I was arrested in exchange for the removal, then we might as well have killed each other. With only him gone, we'd go back to our normal lives. That was my supreme objective, my ultimate goal. Kill him, definitely. But definitely don't leave evidence either. Two alternatives at odds with one another. Alright, ask Rika-chan for that syringe. The condition of not leaving a trace back to me automatically narrowed this number of murder methods. No witnesses was an absolute must. Fortunately, given the right time in Hinamizawa, there would be nobody around. I mentally reconstructed the land around Satoko's house. The number of pedestrians different at different times. The movement algorithm of the neighbors. Would I lure him out or charge at him? What would be my weapon? When and where would I carry this out? Where? It needed to be somewhere I wouldn't leave a trace. When? It needed to be as soon as possible for Satoko's safety without wasting even a millisecond. This is absurd, completely absurd. When I thought about it this way, it struck me how easy the act of killing was. If I could leave evidence, if I was just going to kill him, anyone could easily turn into a murderer. But our reason prevented that. It told us doing so would get us arrested for sure. In the end, being arrested by the police was the final thing preventing people from committing homicide. Absurd. If you went all the way out into the very middle of the ocean, you wouldn't leave any trace at all. Anyone would drop those they hated into the depths if they knew that. It was all too easy to simply remove him. I could leave class right now, grab a metal bat, baseball bat, or something from the schoolyard, go to his house and attack him. Estimated time would be 25 minutes. If I wanted us to kill each other, it wouldn't even be minutes. I could do it in 1500 seconds. I knew just how much his continued existence depended on me. He was nothing. I could expel him from this world within just 1500 seconds after making up my mind. From when I decided what to do, he only had 1500 seconds. Actually, if I ran full speed to his house, that number would go down even further. But he was alive. He was still part of this world at this very moment, having torn Satoko's body and mind to shreds. Why? Because I was letting him live. I was permitting him to live, so he was alive. If I rescinded that permission, he would be evacuating this mortal coil within 1500 seconds. You think I'd let you live to breathe even 1500 more seconds of air? I'm taking that permission back right here, right now. You better thank me for letting you live until today. However, I actually need more than 1500 seconds. I'm not just gonna end you. Getting back our old lives is far more important. It's only you I'll be cleanly cutting out of this world. They won't find a culprit. I'll forget that I dirtied my hands on the likes of you as naturally as I brush my teeth before bed. So to do that, I'll make a special exception for you and give you more than 1500 seconds. I'll give you special permission to keep on living as you have until I can construct a perfect plan for your murder. Wait, Keiichi, you can't let that time go to waste. Yeah, I know, I'll kill him quickly. I'll remove him with certainty. I won't even waste much time to perfect that plan. Think back, tomorrow's Watanagashi, isn't it? Last year on the night of Watanagashi, her aunt died. Her head was busted open by some deviant and her brain splattered everywhere. That's it? He's someone who deserves to be given death on the night of Watanagashi. Hey, Oishiro-sama, you call yourself a guardian, but you didn't protect Satoko. Cursing Satoko's family for the damn stuff is your own business, but now you've made Satoko unhappy when she didn't have anything to do with it. I, Keiichi Marubara, hereby denounce you, the guardian deity of Hinamizawa, a failure. Whoa, 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 okay. He's starting to say some crazy shit that's gonna get him killed. We don't need you. Go back to the deepest, darkest part of your shrine this year. Besides, if you had just cursed and killed both her aunt and her uncle last year, none of this would have happened. The curse this year, it's not on you. I'll be the one deciding. It won't be the three families controlling the serial deaths behind the scenes. No, that's some vague people who I can't tell if they're buffoons or not. This time, I'll be the one to deliver divine judgment. So don't get in my way, just watch. Stay quiet and watch. I'll obliterate him. I'll wipe him off the face of the earth. I'll stomp out his very existence. Go away, disappear, and die. I'll tear your heart apart just like you did to Satoko. Bro's yapping a whole lot. Just do it already, motherfucker. Jesus Christ. Fucking a whole ass monologue. I'll have your blood as payment. Warg. The fuck?
ケイチ君、大丈夫？
Rena, Mion, and Rika-chan were looking after me. Had I fallen to the
急
floor?
に倒れたからびっくりしたよ。うなされてなかった？うなってたよ。
うるさい。黄色い声で話しかけるな。
Whoa, whoa, what the fuck? My friends gave a start and backed
なん
away.
だよ。
Rena and the others, they exchanged glances, unsure of what to say, and stood confused for a few moments.
今の、ケイチ君の声。
Okay, Rena, don't be surprised though. Have you heard yourself sometimes though when you go demon mode?
当たり前だろ。
Rena gulped firmly and opened her mouth.
今一瞬、ケイチ君、すごい目だった。
Oh shit, did he have the Mion eyes?
目？光の角度でそう見えた。バカバカしい。
見間違いじゃないよ。あんな目初めて見た。
What were these guys talking about? They've all been too scared of me lately.
前原ケイチ君だよね。
What was Rena saying? Who else do I look like except Keiichi Marubara? The look I gave her seemed to speak quite eloquently to those irritated thoughts. She understood and quickly apologized.
ごめん、気にしないでね。
Oh shit. Yeah, we got the demon this time. Shit. Alright. Well. 1500 seconds. Reached an epiphany. Well. One more? No. We'll pick up back, chat, on Thursday. Obviously, tomorrow we got a big day. We got the triple sponsor. Goddamn. So I don't think we'll have time for Higurashi tomorrow. You promise? I said 2 chapters. We did 2 chapters, motherfucker. What do you mean? You said you would kill the Unk today? Okay, what the fuck? How am I supposed to know when that would happen? I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Yes, sir. You promised 4? No, I fucking did not. Were we watching different streams here?
Bro is letting Tepai live more than 1,500 seconds, really.
Shut up. Okay, jeez Louise. All right, chat. Well. Good night, everybody. I'll send you guys over to... Don't you start, you stupid dog. This fucking just barked at me. Send y'all over to Jake. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye. If you didn't skip 2 days of Higu, that Unk would be dead already. I don't know what you're talking about. Your dog wants Higurashi too. No, he just wants to fucking...